Hello everyone, welcome to the weekly race guide. This is week 39 of this year, and an interesting one this week because we have a brand new circuit. It's like to watch my video, to be honest with you, but we'll get onto that shortly. First up is race A, and as you can see, it's the Greddy Fugu Z. In fact, it's all Z's, but we'll get onto that in just a second. The race details, first of all, it is 5 laps here at the Tsukuba circuit. It's a grid start, you will need traction control. Sports hard tyres, no fuel, no tyre wear, fixed setup. It's literally a flat out race from start to finish. Now, as I say, you can pick from a range of 3 Z's, basically, Zeds. The Greddy Fugu Z appears to be the quickest. It'll remind you of Fugu Frenzy as well, if you haven't seen that. Make sure you do check that out on the channel. But this is the car I pick as well for the race. Let's jump to that race now. Let me talk you through some tips, tricks, and a little bit of a lap guide. Here we are then at the start. Now you can see a mixture of cars here. This isn't a top split. You can see that right now. My SR has dropped a ton lately just due to the races we've had. I think the last one where there was absolute carnage last week. So I am in the lower splits at the moment, but it's still all good. We can still have a race. I can still take you through a guide. As you can see, traction control on 1, very easy. Look at the traction control being used there. We're going to jump a whole load of people. Now the critical thing here at Tsukuba, be on the inside for turn number 1, because look at that radar. It's very busy, and it's about to get even busier now as somebody comes piling in. Boom! Goes straight off. In fact, they might have just taken themselves off there. I'm not too sure. Imagine going through everybody as a ghost. That's quite hilarious. Anyway, coming up to this next turn, again, same sort of thing. Get on the inside, because if you get hit off, at least you've got some space to run off. If you're on the outside, you don't really have any space. So I'll just try and avoid the Italian there, who gets a little bit oversteery there. Does Luca. Into the right-hander we go. You can see 350 up ahead, or Fair Lady if you're from America, the Z33. We continue on around the outside of Luca. We're going to head down towards this hairpin now. The German in front basically just stops. I whack on the anchors as fast as humanly possible, basically, to avoid hitting the driver. Unfortunately, Luca doesn't manage to stop in time and hits the German off. We're going to go straight to a track guide now, because we're in 3rd place already. So as you head up to turn 1, you're looking at that 50 metre board. Now, I'm braking before the 50 metre. When I look at these brake markers, sometimes I brake at them or just before them. They're a guide for you. Sometimes people say, I can't brake where you brake. Just brake a bit earlier. Look for that marker. 50 metre board there for turn number 1. Round we go, happy days, no problem there. And then we're going to continue on down towards the left hand of this hairpin here. Hard corner to get right. Now what I tend to do at Tsukuba is I'm using the corner there, the curb, basically as it straightens up into the left. That's where I brake. So I'm sort of aiming for the corner here as I start braking. And you're going to see that here. You notice how there I'm braking, fairly straight lined, heading towards that apex. And I stop the car. And I'm in 2nd gear there for this Greddy Fugu Z. This is a slight lift or a dab of the brakes. Nothing major. Basically, you're just trying to get it lined up correctly. You can cut the inside a little bit, and it will help you along as we head down towards this right-hander now. And what I use here is this green on the left-hand side. So I'm going to brake near the start of it. I brake a little bit late on this lap, but you want to brake nearer the start of it than towards the end of it. And I always use that in all cars, by the way. That's a very good marker to use for this corner. As you see, I go a little bit deep here into the hairpin, but it comes back to me. Make sure you try and keep the car straight as possible on the exit, because you will oversteer otherwise. That happens in a lot of cars. Basically, it's just the way the camber comes off the corner, basically. It'll unsettle the weight a little bit, and it can cause a bit of oversteer as you're accelerating as well. Now, heading towards the last corner, you've got that brown stuff on the left-hand side there. It's not the right, it's the leftage. And literally, you can use that as a marker there. It basically starts. You can see I just started braking there. You want to trail brake as much as possible through the corner. Keep it tight if you can. Clip the curb. It'll help you around a tiny bit. Use all the curb on the exit, and happy days. Right, let's get on with a race now. So we catch up to the Frenchman here, GTI Phil, in towards the right-hander we go. Just runs a little bit deep here, so I'm thinking, okay, go for it. Then I can't, because he just comes back across there. I have to back out of it here, and we're about to head on to the final lap. So we're going to have a good race here with Phil. We get all sorts of sideways there, heading towards turn 1. Remember that 50 metre board there? That's what I use. I just go a bit deep here. Forgot about slipstream a little bit, so I straight lined my brake in there. Phil went a little bit deep there as well. So I tapped him and then let him go a little bit. You see I lost a lot of time there in the grand scheme of it. No harm, no foul. We continue racing here at Tsukuba this final lap, the 5th lap here. So a nice lovely hairpin there. Notice the oversteer there from Phil. That's what you're going to be careful of here. Now, if you're wondering about brake balance, they're all in the description. I use 0 here for the Greddy Fugu Z, as you just see Phil run wide there. So I know he's going to have dirt on his tyres, so I instantly go to the inside here. When you have dirt on your tyres, you're always going to understeer off, so Phil gives me room there. Lovely bit of driving, but goes a little bit deep here into the hairpin, so I'm thinking excellent. Nice little cut back here. Happy days. We'll get the job done. So, nice and easy. Now, I don't come straight across to the racing line because I was expecting Phil to come towards the right first of all to get a slipstream. He doesn't, so then I go towards the left. So then I get a nice line for this final corner. Phil comes at me very strong there. Still nails the line beautifully there, does Phil. But unfortunately for him, fortunately for me, I'm going to keep that P2. So an alright race. You just got to be careful at the start. It's very close quarters, very small track. Just be careful. Greddy Fugu Z is the car of choice. That's going to be it for race A. Let's now jump to Dragontrail Seaside and some Group 3 machinery for race B. Welcome to some action then here at Race B at Dragontrail Seaside. Before we have a look at the cars though, let's have a look at the race details first of all. We are racing 4 laps here at Dragontrail Seaside. It's a rolling start, so don't worry about traction control. We are on racing hard tyres, no fuel, no tyres, and a fixed setup, so nice and easy for everyone to understand. Now, in terms of the machinery, the 650S GT3 car is currently top of the leaderboard when I film this. It could have changed by now, but because it's Group 3, it's the most balanced class in the game. Pick the car you enjoy racing. Don't necessarily have to pick the best car, because the 650S has some weaknesses. All MR cars have weaknesses. All FR cars have weaknesses. Enjoy the game for what it is. Don't worry about driver rating so much. Have some fun racing here with Group 3 at Dragontrail Seaside. Let's jump to that race then. Let's have a look at the race and a few tips, tricks, and also a lap guide once again. Here we go. Then as you can see, GT3 Group 3 grid. Mixture of everything in here. Pick what you like, as I just said. So, we're in the Mclaren, as I say, because it was at the top of the leaderboards at the time. We've got a weird livery on. I'm not sure why I've got this livery on or when I applied it, but hey, it's a green livery on a McLaren, so British green, there we go. We're going to obviously look at some of the racing action and have a track guide as well, but as you can see at the start, we're near the back. I wouldn't worry too much about the last corner here. You should be able to accelerate out of it. Happy days. Now, I'm in a lobby once again with E-rated drivers, which makes it very difficult for me. It sounds a bit weird, but I actually find it much harder racing E-rated drivers than A+ drivers because E-rated drivers race very differently to me. So, for example, Gringo here, hazards on. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, he's letting me go here, or she's letting me go. So I'm thinking, excellent, okay, we'll just carry on. You can see my brake balance down there, +3 if you're using the McLaren because it does understeer quite a lot. In towards the braking zone, and I'm just trying to avoid the Mazda 10 here. And then the Portuguese driver then goes on the inside, so I got confused by that. And I'm around the outside again. And it's inside, outside. It's a mixture of kind of craziness, to be honest. So it gets very difficult to race, this kind of race. So we're approaching the 10s very quickly here. I have to try and go around the outside of the Volkswagen, and then we get stuck behind the Tenza here. So we're looking to try and get past as clean as possible. I was trying to, you know, sort of keep my SR rating alive here, but let's find out what happens towards the rest of this race. So we get turned into there for no apparent reason whatsoever. Like literally, there's a radar that you do have to use a radar in this game. Okay. Anyway, through the right hander we go. We're approaching the chicane of death here, so through the right and the left. I can't even speak anymore. And then we have to really slow down here. I thought the AMG was a goner there. I actually thought they were a goner. I don't know how they survived that. It's hilarious. But anyway, we continue towards the last corner now, approaching a couple other cars here. And we are going to go into a track guide as well. So the Ferrari looked on the inside of the AMG, back towered a bit. The AMG went a little bit deep there, so I'm thinking, okay, I've got a good run here. I'm going to go towards the outside now. I expected the Ferrari to come to the right. He made his intentions quite clear there. Just came over a bit too fast. But he made his intentions clear. You know, you could see him edging towards the right, which suggested he was going to do that. Anyway, heading towards turn number 1 here. Where is the brake marker for turn number 1? It's actually using that curb on the right side. Now, I brake just before it actually, okay? Not actually on it. And here in this instance, because I carried so much speed, I'm actually braking offline as well. I actually go a little bit deep here. So just use that curb as a marker there. It'll help you massively. So I managed to stop the car. The AMG bounces off me for unknown reasons. There was easily enough room there. But we continue on. Happy days. We'll have a nice peaceful lap for the remainder of the track guide. Slightly lift for this corner, depending on the car. Don't cut it too much. And as you approach this sharp right-hander, you see the gravel ends, then there's a green bit and the gravel begins. Use that as your marker. So maybe you want to brake just as the gravel ends before it begins, depending on which car you're in. So I dropped second gear here. Try and use the curb on the inside as much as possible. It will help you around. Accelerate through. That's the end of sector 1 here. So as you head towards this left-hander, who remembers the brake marker? it's that on the left hand side there. It's where it goes orange briefly. You just want to dab your brakes, try and get the car turned in. Trail brake if you can. Trail brake, if I can speak, towards the apex here. You notice how I trail brake a little bit here. Once you clip that curb, the car will pull around a bit. Then you want to clip the right hand side. And you notice I've run a little bit deep there, so I have to lift a little bit and lift again just to avoid going onto that curb. If you go onto that curb, you're risking spinning out. Just be careful of doing that. Heading down towards the sharp right-hander now. I was outbraking myself all the time here. Use that curb, literally the start of the curb. You notice the cones are further ahead here. So we're braking before the cones in this situation. So before the curb, I start braking. And I'm going to drop down to second gear. Now you want to sort of clip the inside. So we just miss it but we get a good run out of there. Straighten up as best as you can. Avoid going too wide there and hitting the barrier or clipping the grass. It will lose you some time. Now we get stuck behind the Renault here, so we're lifting off massively here, but essentially use the end of the curb to turn in, avoid just dying at the chicanes. We get a whole load of oversteer there, and that's because the front end didn't have a lot of downforce, and now did the rear, and it was all just playing about with the weight as it jumped over the curb as well, so the car got very light. Anyway, into the last corner, use the curb once again there as your brake mark. I'm braking just before it. You can see that on screen now at the bottom there. You can see I'm already at 50% braking. That's the marker I use. I'm using the curb. It won't get wiped out. It's there for your use. As we go around the last corner, happy days. That is a guide of Dragontrail Seaside. So what happens in the race? Well, this happens. So both these guys are planting each other to Narnia. So I'll try and go through the middle. One of them unghosts in an annoying place. We get a 2-second penalty. We then get contact again. And then I don't know whether they just start hitting each other or not. I get really confused by it, to be honest with you. So I think, okay, I'll do what I did last time. And carry on, but unfortunately my SR takes a hit here. As you see, the Ukrainian there absolutely planted in the barrier there. In check after, someone said karma, so I'm not sure what's going on there. As you can see, I get limited by the penalty, but we carry on to the final lap. Let's have a look at the chicane done properly. So through the right and then the left, and you're going to see me just stay in fourth gear here. I don't want to unsettle the car at all. Aim for that curb, keep it straight over that curb. If you've even got a slight bit of turning on the curb in an MR car, the front will lift and you'll get all sorts of oversteer like that what happened previously in this video. Just be careful of that. Anyway, heading towards the right hander now. Happy days, job done. Try and get the late apex, accelerate out the corner, straighten up the car and head towards that line. So yeah, my SR took a hit before we went into race A. I did B, A, C this week. So yeah, that was a bit frustrating. Let's see what happens when we get to race C then, which is next up. A nice race, this one, to be honest, one to enjoy and have fun with. Let's jump to race C then, and let's see where we're heading next. So here we are then. For the first time, I believe, ever, we are racing Sainte-Croix C2. Yes, that's right, we're racing this in reverse. Now, I put this in my never used FIA tracks, but I don't believe we've ever raced this in daily races either. This is the first time we are ever using this circuit, so this guide is going to be critical, and we are going to do a track guide. First of all, let's have a look at the race details. It is 5 laps in length. There we go. We'll get the words out eventually. It's a rolling start. You have to use the hard tyres, but mediums are also available. Fuel usage is ×3 and tyre wear is ×7. Now, as you can see, we are in Group 4 machinery. So obviously, the FFs are going to be up there in terms of time trial. However, they're not there in the race. You know, ×7 tyre wear is critical for these cars. So what I would recommend is, yes, do a fast lap in an FF car if you feel like it. However, I would go with one of the faster FR cars here. You know, they're the power cars. So I went with a Jaguar in this case because that Jag was actually in the top 10. It was the only non-FF car in the top 10. So I was like, okay, I'll pick that and I'll use that. And actually, it's pretty damn rapid. Let's jump to the race now and we'll do a lap guide and we'll have a look at some of the racing action as well as a bit of the strategy involved. Here we are then at the start. And you can see a wide range of cars. Now obviously I'm in a lower lobby than top split, so the car variety will be there. In top split, I imagine they're all going to go towards the front engine rear wheel drives. As I say, they're power cars. This is a power circuit. It's not a handling circuit, it's a power circuit. It's why FFs will also be good in time trial. Especially the RCs there, you know, it's power down the straight there. Now, as you can see in the Jag, I'm on +3 brake balance. So if you do use the Jag, there you go. This Jaguar is very powerful on the straight as well, but you will see that shortly. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to do the track guide on the first lap while the race is happening as well. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because it's such a long lap. So let's combine it all in one, and then you can see the race highlights as well. So, heading towards turn 1, this is what you need to do as well. Warm up your tyres, because most people don't do this. You see the Ferrari behind me also warming up the tyres. Well worthwhile doing. Warm up your tyres, get them nice and warm before you get to turn 1. Now, as you head towards turn 1, you're looking for the orange markers on the barrier there. Now, you can use the cones, and I'd recommend putting the cones on for this if you're learning the track. But use those orange tips on the barrier, a very good marker. And what you're going to do is you're going to actually drop 2 gears and chuck it in. Now, I had to slow down massively here because everybody decided to play the first corner as I helped the Viper driver recover there. How nice am I? Head towards turn 2 then. That red marker on the left-hand side, that barrier, it's so good, that marker. When I was doing this, and I did the full 15 minutes practice beforehand just to make sure I knew the track. Literally, that marker is superb. Unfortunately, the SLS driver in front gets it wrong there, does a pain, but we carry on all the same. Now, this next corner, very tricky corner as the Bugatti gets it all wrong here, does Alb. But that marker, the last red on the barrier on the right, very good marker. So what you want to do is brake, drop a gear, and then roll through the corner, balancing the throttle. You have to be so careful about running wide here. You could get barriered here. As you see, the Mclaren gets very close there, and that comes even tighter there with that Michelin sign. So you got to be very careful. Lift here, it's just a lift, that's all you got to do, and then it's flat out now towards the sharp hairpin. I have to lift a little bit here because I've got cars in front of me and also dirty air as well. So then into the braking zone, you're going to use the lamppost on the right. Now, you can brake later than I'm doing and brake much later than the lamppost. The problem is it's judging the corner accordingly, so I'm using that as just a guide. So you notice I'm staying wide. You want to stay wide. You want to sort of like get the car turned in and accelerate out. This is a huge straight. Look at the minimap. It's massive, this straight, okay? So you want to get the maximum acceleration out the corner. It doesn't matter so much your entry to that corner. The exit is critical, okay? Make sure you get that right. What we're going to do now, we're just going to speed up like 1,000,000 miles an hour. Watch out for penalties, by the way. You saw how far that Mclaren dropped off. As you head towards this left-hander, the second lamppost from the corner here on the left. I know it's a hard one to spot, but you'll soon get used to it. That's what I use. I always use that when I'm going backwards at this circuit. Anyway, on Sainte-Croix B, or as we're doing here, Sainte-Croix C. Somebody gets barriered there by, well, the Porsche barriers the BMW, so we head up the hill. Now, this is a hard corner to get right. Now, I normally use the lamppost on the left, but here I noticed that the trees on the right just start there. That's a slightly lighter green, effectively. You'll notice it in your peripheral vision. I use the trees there as a brake marker, so one to use there and spot. So we come through there now. We're going to head onto the bridge. Be careful of the exit there and going into that barrier. Quite a common thing to do on some of the other Sainte-Croix that we've done in reverse. So as you head down here, you're looking for the end of the bridge, basically. You'll notice the barrier stops and changes. You could also use the giveaway signs on the left there, but normally you're looking for the end of the barrier there. And obviously, I'm on the left here, so I'm braking much earlier. You will be braking before that, but that's what you're looking for. As I say with these markers, use them as guidance, you know. Some people say they can't brake as late as me, so just be careful of that. You notice the Porsche goes around the outside there because he did brake later than me. I did brake earlier there on the inside. So heading up to, we're heading to the most difficult corner on the circuit now. 3 out of 5 laps here, I got it completely wrong. So what I was doing was I was looking for the end of the curb and judging it accordingly, but Hasnain in Discord mentioned the Michelin signs on the right, which are good markers there. You've got them that you can use quite easily there. So you've got 3 there that you can use, and then you want to turn in earlier than you think, because you can't see the apex, which is why it makes it even more difficult. Now we're effectively on Sainte-Croix A, going forward, so some of these markers will be familiar to you. I use the tents on the right side, so when the first white one appears, that's when I am braking. Nice and easy marker to spot there because it goes from orange to white, very much in your peripheral vision. Obviously it's right-hander as well. So it's normally drop a gear, let the car clip the curb and accelerate out. If you remember this next one, it's of course the trees at the end, the last tree. Dab your brake. Once again, keep it in the gear if you've just dropped a gear. If not, you're going to drop a gear for this one, and make sure you get a good exit because it's a long acceleration period. As we come through there, nice and easy, clip the curb, accelerate out the corner and continue on down. So again, we're still on Sainte-Croix A at this point, and we're going to head down towards the long left-hander. You're going to use the brake marker here, the 100-meter board, lovely little marker there. You're going to drop 2 gears, and you're going to really want to chuck it in and try and clip the apex. And then it's one of these corners where it sort of opens up and wants you to accelerate out, and that's what you really want to do here. So I don't do it that well here, but you notice how you accelerate out, use all the curb on the exit, and then you're going to come back towards the corner, and then literally at the end of the barrier here, where the trucks are, that is where you're going to brake, and then once again chuck it in towards the right hander. Most of these corners, the Sainte-Croix, are all about maintaining speed and momentum rather than hard braking. It's all about rolling through the corner. It's why I particularly like them, to be honest, because that's my driving style. Now, as we head towards this left-hander, look at that tree right in front of you. Lovely marker, this, because you just aim for it. That's where you want to go anyway. Lovely marker to judge your distance accordingly as you head into that braking zone, okay? Very hard braking. I'm second gear here. It's very hard to get the car turned. Accelerate out. Trying to avoid any oversteer as much as you can, because remember, we have tyre wear on here. And then we have our second slowdown in terms of the penalty zones. This one, not as severe as the other one. The other one is just painful. Painful. It really is. You're going to lose so much time on there. Now as you head towards this last corner, very tricky corner to get right. There can be lots of dives down in this corner. It's a barrier on the exit as well, but you're going to use a 150 meter board here as your brake marker. I'm braking already sharply here. I'm braking a little bit too early, but I was approaching the Israeli there a little bit too quick, so I back out of it a little bit. Second gear, be careful that inside and outside. Look how tight it is. It's like a city circuit at that point. You've got to be so careful. So let's get on with the racing now, because this is flat out. So we get pushed up into the barrier there. I do flash my lights a lot here because I'm just like, oi, that was a bit cheeky. But even so, we continue racing, and I'm going to look down the inside now as we head towards turn 1, because the Ferrari driver does not defend this. So in, as I say, use the orange little bits on the right. We get it turned in, nice and easy. I think there's a bit of lag there, and yeah, it gets fired off, unfortunately. But in terms of strategy, so you're probably wondering about strategy here. You've got mediums and hards. You will need to use the mediums, in my opinion. What I would recommend is, if you're not very good on tyres, and you're in an FR or FF car, or four-wheel drive as well, literally I would go for maybe a 3-stop and avoid that 4th lap, which can be a bit sketchy, as you see. How close to the barrier was that? So yeah, 3 laps on the medium and 2 on hard. If you can make the tyres last, so I can manage tyre wear quite well, I can go to 4 laps on the medium and then 1 lap on the hard. The last lap on the medium is going to be very much equal to the hard lap, potentially, especially on this track, which is obviously a very fast circuit. So just keep that in mind, really. You might want to use the 4th lap just to break away from the pack. So we continue past this Lamborghini now. Look at the speed. This is what I mean about the Jaguar's pace here. It is absolutely rapid. Now, the FF cars are going to hit a wall of air towards their top end because they have no power anymore. It's all to do with acceleration and no weight. So literally, you see the RTT is just struggling there. It's always going to struggle. Even in slipstream, it would struggle. As we head towards the left-hander now. Remember, second light from the left. There it is. And we get it stopped nice and easy. And then obviously you're going to run out towards the exit there, close to the barrier. We're in a bit of a fight here with the RTT, the Viper, and the Lamborghini is going to get involved in a second as well. I go a little bit deep here. Just got it all a little bit wrong. Through there we go. And the RTT just gives me room there. Thank you very much, DJ. And we continue on. So here I make a little bit of a mistake. I really should go defensive here. And I don't. And I don't know why I didn't go defensive either. So I'm looking for the end of the barrier, as I say. There's the end of the barrier. And I go a bit deep. The Audi goes a bit deep. And everyone just goes a bit deep. And there's just a little bit of carnage there. But we managed to keep second for now. But as I say, this next corner is one of the hardest corners I've experienced in quite a while. Very hard to nail. Potentially use the Michelin signs, as I say. I was trying to use the curve there. Realised I'd gone too deep. And that's the problem with using that curve. Because you're so focused on it, you can make an error like I did there. So I'm at a bit of a plebby moment, to be honest. But plenty of action to come as we just go a bit further in the lap, where we're right behind the Ferrari, the Audi, and Lamborghini again. Ferrari driver touches the Audi. The Audi's not very happy. Just lets him, lets the Ferrari driver know they weren't. Can't speak. They weren't happy with that. There we go. Oh, as we continue towards the last corner now. I can't speak today. So we're going to head down towards the last corner now. Remember the 150 meter board, and I just get pushed out into the barrier again. So the Ferrari driver just needs to use that radar a bit more. I've seen a few crashes now where they've just gone into you because they've not realised. Again, the Audi driver is not happy at all here. And we're going to see the same thing that happened with me. Look, turns straight in and bounces off. Audi driver again not happy. I have no idea what's going on there, but that's where I just want to escape from this. You see, the Lamborghini was on hards, the Audi was on hards, so a few people going for that two on hards, 3 on medium strategy. Now you can see up ahead, the Aston Martin's just gone off to Narnia there. They did wall themselves earlier as well, I think. So I just go around the outside, and I'm going to do 4 laps on the mediums here rather than the 3. And what it allows is it allows me to break away from the pack at this point, because most people are going to do the 3-2 or the 2-3, So if I can break away and just be by myself, I should be able to advance. And as you can see here, I have a 15.3 second gap. Let's see what that gap is after I leave the pits then. So into the pits we go, lap number 4. Whack those hards on. Do not refuel. You don't need to refuel in this, so make sure you do rev the engine at the start of the race. As we get the tyre change there, nice and easy. So 15.3 seconds. Let's see what it drops down to then. That was the gap. As we head towards turn 1. And 8.3 seconds. So we don't know if there's been any accidents on the last corner either. So around 7 seconds there for a pit stop. So there's your information for you. But that's it. We do win the race quite easily there. And as I say, that 4th lap, a bit iffy with the hards as well. So just be careful of that. The 3-2-2-3 is probably the better strategy. The 4-1-1-4, the alternative one if you want to break away at some point. But that's going to be it for this week. It's nice to have literally, I would say, a new circuit essentially to race on. An interesting week, a good week. Now, if you want to watch some live racing, here he is. We'll be live streaming this at 9 PM British Summer Time, so do check that out. But that's going to be it for me now, folks. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in another video or live stream very soon.